Our video retake is going to cover 3 quick examples just to make sure you are comfortable with reflections. As we begin, making sure to remember that our pre-image and our image must be congruent. When you're doing a reflection, you're changing how the shape looks, but you are not changing the shape's size at all. We also like to think of the word reflection as flip. If you folded the paper over, you would actually be creating the reflection on the opposite side of the paper. So let's deal with the triangle ABC, and we're going to reflect it over the x-axis, remembering that our x-axis is here and our y-axis is here. When you are doing these examples, you are going to be dealing with the x and y-axis a lot. So -5, -5 gives us our A as right here. Our B is right here. And our C is right there. We have a very odd looking triangle, but it is a triangle. So now let's do our reflection. The best way to do a reflection is to simply count the distance away from the point of reflection, which is the x-axis, and then go the same distance away in the opposite direction. So C is 2 units away down. So we're going to make it go 2 units away up. So C prime is right here. A, by extension, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units away. So it's going to be 5 units away in the opposite direction. A prime right here. Now B is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units away. So that'll be 6 units away in the opposite direction. B prime is right here. And where reflections get a little tricky is we have to know that this shape is congruent to the shape below. And the eye test tells us that they do look like they are the same shape and the same size, but it is really, really hard to tell exactly. And there are some mathematical ways to figure that out, but we haven't covered them yet. For now, the best way to tell if something is equal is to follow the pattern. So going down 1 and over 2 means that we should be going up 1 and over 2 in the opposite direction. So A to C is down 3 and over 5. So it should be up 3 and over 5, and it is. And because all of those patterns are equal, for now, that's going to be the best way for us to figure out if shapes are congruent to each other. So let's do another example. This time we're going to be flipping over the y-axis, which is right here. So now let's graph our points. L is 1, 2, 3, 4, and down 3 right here is point L. M is right here. N is here. And O is here. And if you notice, this looks like the second example from the first video where we're on top of the reflection point, which means that once again, we look at each individual point, we need to rotate it or reflect it the same distance away from that point of reflection. So that means N is 0 units away from our point of reflection. So it's going to end 0 units away. And the same thing for O, which means O prime and N prime are going to be the same place that O and N were respectively. Now we have M is 1, 2, 3, 4 away. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 away in the opposite direction. So there is our M prime, and our L prime will be right here. So we have one final example to cover before we are done with this topic and ready to do some practice on our own. Once again, if they give you a line, you have to graph the line first. Our line at this time is x equals -3. And if we remember from before, we need to pick ordered pairs where the x value has to be -3. So I can pick any number for y. So I'm going to pick -5, 8, and 2. Just pick some really random ones. -3, -5 is right here. -3, 8 is up here. -3, 2 is right here. So that tells us our line is a vertical line through x equals -3. So there is our line. So we have our points, which are 1, 2, 3, 4, 3. Y appears to be 2, and then 6. And our z appears to be -1 and 6. So we are going to reflect over the line x equals -3. And the best way to do that is to count the distance away from our point of reflection and go the same distance in the opposite direction. So that'll put z prime 2 units away on the left. Y is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 away. So it's going to be 5 away on the left. So here is our y prime. And our x prime is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Just barely on the page for our x prime. And that is our final example for reflections. The major key is to make sure you graph those lines first. Make sure you still have congruent shapes for your image and your pre-image. And then obviously to count the distance away from the point of reflection. As always, if you have any questions, please let me know.